Hi everyone. So we are back with another tutorial video, and in this video we are going to be talking about cloud computing. So this is the first video on cloud computing on this channel. We have been publishing videos on Spring Boot, Snowflake about cloud computing. This is the first video, so I welcome you all to this channel. So in this video we will be talking about what is cloud computing. We will see the whys of cloud computing, and we will also see the hows of cloud computing. So let me just quickly go through the points that we will be discussing in this lecture, and post that we will be starting with the discussion of this tutorial video. First, we will have a look on what is cloud computing. We will understand cloud computing in detail. We will also discuss about the benefits that come with cloud computing. We will discuss the uses of cloud computing. We will also discuss the deployment models and types that are embedded in cloud computing. We will see the service types of cloud computing, and we will see a few use cases like who is using cloud computing. And end this discussion, we will have a look on the top public clouds available in the industry today. So let's just jump right in. So what is cloud computing? So if you are someone from a technical background, you must have come across the term cloud computing. You must have used cloud computing. Everyone talks about cloud these days. Some are trying to learn it, some are trying to do certifications on them, and some organizations they have already started to implement cloud computing in their day-to-day activities. So let's get started with what is cloud computing so that you can have a better understanding on cloud computing first, and then we will dive into the consequent topics. So the basic definition of cloud computing is the delivery of different services through the internet. These services, these resources, it may include tools and applications like storage, servers, databases, or networking or softwares. And it is not limited to these five tools or applications. There are many and many applications to use in cloud computing platform. So the definition goes by it is the delivery of different services through the internet. Now what does that mean? So let's talk about databases. So how is database used and leveraged in cloud computing? So when I talk about using any particular database in cloud computing, so rather than keeping files on a proprietary hard drive or any local storage device, cloud-based storage, it makes it possible to save them to a remote database. And as long as we have an electronic device with access to internet inside it, we can access that database, we can access the data and the software programs to run it. So with the use of cloud computing, we do not need any particular hard drive or any local storage device. As we are talking about cloud computing, everything is remote based. We just need an electronic device, either your laptops, either your cell phones. The electronic device should also have an access to the web. If those two criteria are fulfilled, if my electronic device has web access enabled, we are good to go to use that particular database from anywhere in the world, provided the cloud computing platform has a region in that area. So that is how we can use a particular aspect of cloud computing, that is database inside of cloud computing. So I hope you are a little bit clear on the definition of cloud computing. Let's dive more and more. So why is cloud computing named as cloud computing to be specific? Cloud computing is named as such because the information being accessed is found remotely in the cloud or a virtual space. So we are trying to access information or tools or applications remotely through the cloud. And companies that do provide cloud services, they enable users to store files and applications on remote servers and then access all the data via the internet, which also means that we do not have to be physically present at a specific place to gain access to any data, any file, and hence allowing the user to work remotely. So we can say that everything from the information to the data to the files to the tools to the application, everything is based remotely, which we can also say that it is based in the cloud. Okay, now let's understand the difference between public and private cloud. Cloud computing, it is available in both scenarios. It can either be public or it can be private. Now talking about public cloud, so the public cloud services, it provides the services over the internet for a particular fee. Like if you want to use any SQL database, you can go ahead and create a SQL cluster. Additionally, you will have to pay some fee for that, some fee for using that SQL database. Similarly, if you want to go ahead and rent virtual machines inside your cloud platform, you can do that. And based on your requirement, you can also configure your virtual machines in the public cloud services, and consequently, you will be charged a little fee for that. So, this is how public clouds work. They deliver their services over the internet for a small fees. They do charge the users a small fees for that. Now, talking about private cloud, so the private cloud services, on the other hand, only provide services to a certain number of people. Unlike public cloud, which any user can access once you have created your accounts on the cloud platforms, on the public cloud platforms, it can be accessed by anyone. On the contrary, private cloud services are available to only a certain number of people who are authorized to have the access to that private cloud, and these services are a system of networks that supply hosted services. And we also have a third option, which is the hybrid option, which combines elements of both the public and the private cloud services, which is also a trend in the IT industry these days. Many companies are going for the hybrid option, which means they are opting for some of the services offered by public cloud, and additionally they're also opting the facility to use their own private clouds based on the requirement. Okay, so for examples, like if we talk about public cloud, we have the top three public clouds, which is AWS, Google Cloud, and Microsoft Azure. And I'm sure that you must have come across these terminologies in your career. And talking about private clouds, we have Cisco, we have SAP, we have HPE, and so on. Okay, so why do you need cloud computing? Means why is there such an overrising demand of cloud computing these days? So cloud computing does offer many advantages, many benefits for the users, for people who are using the cloud services, cloud computing services. So let's talk about these benefits. So the first benefit of using cloud computing is agility. It means the cloud gives you easy access to a broad range of technologies so that you can innovate faster and build nearly anything that you can imagine. If I take for example, let's suppose I want to set up a complete big data architecture setup on the public cloud AWS. So in that case, I can just go ahead and select the services. Like I can start up an Apache Kafka cluster, I can start up a Spark cluster, and similarly all the other technologies that I do need for the big data architecture setup. I can just go ahead, select those services, configure, provide the configurations, and once done, I'm just ready to use my big data architecture setup on the public cloud. So the cloud computing platforms, it gives you access to many technologies, many applications, which you can just, based on your requirement, provide the configuration and start up. You can also quickly spin up resources as you need them, talking about from infrastructure services such as compute, storage, database, to Internet of Things, machine learning, data lakes, and analytics, and much more. So these are just few of the offerings that the cloud computing does offer, like compute, storage, databases, machine learning, data lakes, data warehouses, analytics, and much more. So if I take an example, like for compute, if I want to start up compute machines, we do have the facility of EC2 instances in the public cloud AWS. For Google Cloud, we do have the compute engines, and for Microsoft Azure, we have virtual machines for the same. So you get the point, means you can spin up resources quickly, you get access to a wide range of technologies and applications that you can get as per your requirement, as per your needs. You can deploy technology services in a matter of minutes. So you can quickly go ahead, start up your services, and there you go. Right from starting, from executing the idea, you have got to the implementation in a quick time. And this also gives you the freedom to experiment, test new ideas, to differentiate customer experiences and transform your business. Like let's suppose if I talk about AWS, I have started an EC2 cluster with the T2.micro instance type. And in future, if my requirement increases, if the load of my requirement increases, then I do have the option to change the instance type and increase the configurations as per my rising requirement. So this also gives me the idea to implement multiple scenarios which best fit my requirement. Now talking about elasticity, which is the second benefit of using cloud computing. So with cloud computing, you do not have to over provision resources upfront to handle peak levels of business activity in the future. Instead, you only provision the amount of resources that you actually need. In future, based on the requirement, you can scale these resources up or down to instantly grow and shrink capacity as per the business changes. Like let's suppose if I am talking about databases inside of AWS cloud. So suppose today I have configured a 5 GB database, 5 GB SQL database. But in future, in the near future, I may want to shrink this capacity and bring it down to 2 GB, 2 GB. So I can do that using just a few clicks, just a few configuration. I can do that. So cloud computing does give us the facility to scale up or down based on the requirement, and which brings us with the advantage that we do not have to over provision our resources upfront. So based on the increase or decrease in business requirement, I can scale my resources up or scale my resources down. So for example, we can also talk about a specific instance in AWS, a specific EC2 instance in AWS. Like today, I have configured my EC2 instance to be of the type T2.micro. And in future, if the need may be, I can go for a bigger instance, bigger type of instance, which is rdx5.large. So don't be afraid of the names. These are the instance types that come with EC2 in AWS. We will be going through them in the consequent lectures. But for now, just keep in mind that based on the business requirement, we do have the options to scale up or down our resources. Let's come to the third point, third benefit of cloud computing, which is cost savings. And according to me, I think that this is the most crucial factor, crucial benefit whenever we talk about cloud computing. Many companies are opting to go for multiple clouds based on this factor itself, the cost savings platform. So the cloud, it allows us to trade fixed expenses for variable expenses and only pay for it as you consume it. So we do not have to pay for a fixed amount of resource upfront. We can trade the fixed expenses for variable expenses as per the requirement, as per the business requirements. And plus, the variable expenses are much lower than what you would pay for it because of the economies of scale. So, cloud computing also has a terminology, economies of scale. So, as more and more people, more and more organizations move towards cloud computing, we do get the advantage of economies of scale in cloud computing. Now, talking about the next benefit, we do have the option of deploying globally in minutes. So cloud computing platform, it is available in multiple regions, and every region consists of multiple availability zones. And in a way, we can say that cloud computing is spread all across the world. So with the cloud, you can expand your business, you can do new geographic locations and deploy globally in minutes. Like for example, if we take the example of AWS, it has infrastructure all over the world. So we can quickly deploy our application in multiple physical locations with just a few clicks. Putting applications in close proximity to the end users, it reduces the latency and improves user experience. Okay, so we have seen the major benefits that cloud computing provides to us. So everyone is a cloud consumer these days, even though you may not be aware yet. You have been using cloud services since long. So if you use an online service to send email, edit your documents online, or watch movies or television with the help of internet, listen to music, play games, store pictures, it is likely that cloud computing is making it all possible behind the scenes. So hence everyone is a cloud consumer these days. You may not be aware, but you are using cloud in your day-to-day activities. Okay, so we have seen what is cloud computing. We have seen the benefits that come with cloud computing. Now let's see what are the things that a particular user or any particular organization they can accomplish through cloud computing. So we can do lots and lots of things through cloud computing. Like if I want to create cloud native applications that will completely be deployed on the cloud using advantages of the services that come with cloud. So I can do that. I can quickly build, deploy and scale applications, either web, mobile or API. We can take advantage of cloud native technologies and approaches such as containers, Kubernetes, microservice architecture, and the API driven communication. And also, we can go for the DevOps service that cloud computing platforms provide. We can store, backup, and recover data. So, any kind of data, if you have CSV files, if you have pictures, if you have videos, you can store them online on the cloud platform and protect your data more cost efficiently. You can stream audio or video using cloud computing services, connect with your audience anywhere, anytime, on any device with high definition video and audio with global distribution, the ability to deliver software on demand, so also known as software as a service. On demand software lets you offer the latest software versions and updates to customers anytime they need, anywhere they are. So we do get the benefit of delivering software on demand. We can test and build our applications on cloud platform. Like if I take the example, AWS does has an online code editor where we can just edit our code, we can run our code and test our application. If I have a requirement of data analysis, I can leverage the feature of the analyzed data through cloud platform. I can unify my data across teams and then use cloud services such as machine learning or artificial intelligence to uncover insights for more informed decisions. So these were a few of the things that we can achieve, we can accomplish through cloud computing. We have seen few of the things. Now let's talk about deployment models that come with cloud computing. So the cloud deployment model, it functions as a virtual computing environment with a deployment architecture that varies depending on the amount of data that you want to store and who has access to the infrastructure. There are various types of clouds, each of which is different from the other. We have public clouds, we have private clouds, and we have hybrid clouds. And we have already discussed public clouds. They provide the services on servers and storage on the internet. Talking about private clouds, these are reserved for specific clientele, usually a particular business or an organization. And hybrid clouds, as the name implies, it is a combination of both public and private services. This type of model, it allows the user more flexibility and helps optimize the user's infrastructure and security. Okay, so now let's talk about the types of cloud computing services that we have the options to choose from. So the three main types of cloud computing, it includes infrastructure as a service, abbreviated as IaaS. We have platform as a service, which stands for PaaS, and we have software as a service. And each type of cloud computing service, it provides different level of control, flexibility, and management. So that based on the requirement, I can select the right set of services for my needs. So all these three cloud services, the IaaS, the PaaS, and the SaaS, they offer different level of control, flexibility, management, and security. So based on the user requirement, based on the organization requirement, you can choose to opt for any of the three services. Now let's talk about all these three types of cloud computing services in details. So talking about infrastructure as a service, it contains the basic building blocks for cloud IT. It typically provides access to networking features, computers, and data storage space. And this infrastructure as a service, it gives you the highest level of flexibility and management control over the IT resources that you decide to provision over public cloud. If I talk about platform as a service, so the PaaS, it removes the need for you to manage the underlying infrastructure. Cloud platform offering you the PaaS service, it takes care of managing the underlying infrastructure for you, and it allows you to focus more and on the deployment and management of your applications rather than managing the infrastructure and taking care of infrastructure management. Consequently, this helps you to be more efficient as you do not need to worry about resource management, no capacity planning. The cloud platform, it takes care of all these things. Now talking about SaaS, which is software as a service, it provides you with a complete product that is run and managed by the service provider. In most cases, people who refer to SaaS are referring to end user applications. For example, if I talk about Gmail, we do not have to do anything. Everything is taken care of by the provider itself. No infrastructure management, no resource planning, no capacity planning, nothing. And with a SaaS offering, you do not have to think about how the service is maintained or how the underlying infrastructure is managed. You just have to use that particular software. So with that being said, we come to the last point in our discussion, like who is using cloud computing. If I talk about the industry standards, who is using cloud computing nowadays? So organizations of every type, size and industry are using the cloud nowadays for a wide variety of use cases. These use cases may include data backup, disaster recovery, email, virtual desktops, software development and testing, big data analytics, and customer facing web applications. So, these are the use cases that are being used and implemented by multiple organizations these days in the name of using cloud computing. Like, for example, if I talk about healthcare companies, they are using the cloud to develop more personalized treatments for patients. It can be done using the machine learning techniques, machine learning services that the cloud platforms do have to offer. If I talk about financial services, these companies are using the cloud to power real time fraud detection and prevention. If I talk about gaming companies, the video game makers are using the cloud to deliver online games to millions of players around the world. So we see that cloud computing does have a large number of use case and consequently more number of users in today's world. So with that, we come to an end of this discussion. I know it was completely theory based, but since we had to do an introduction video of cloud so that the future videos can be understood, so that is why we had to do a theory video on cloud computing platform first. So let's quickly go through the key takeaways from this lecture. We saw what is cloud computing, we understood about cloud computing, we saw the benefits that come with cloud computing, we saw a few uses of cloud computing. We saw the deployment models, types of cloud computing, which is public, private, and optionally hybrid. We saw the service types that come with cloud computing, which are infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. We saw who is using cloud computing these days. We saw a few use cases of cloud computing platforms. So with that, we come to an end of this tutorial. In the consequent videos related to cloud computing, we will be working on the AWS public cloud platform. We will be learning AWS from a zero level and we will try to become an expert in AWS. So consequently, we will be uploading more and more videos on the AWS platform. We will be doing both the theory sessions and the hands-on sessions, like how to spin up an EC2 cluster, how to start up a database storage service in AWS, how to start a data analysis service on AWS. We will be seeing all of these in the consequent videos. But for today's video, we are done and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.